To understand Madara Uchiha, you must first understand the world that shaped him. From birth, he was surrounded by violence, political intrigue, and the brutal lessons of survival. The Uchiha clan lived in a time where strength determined life or death. Every day, young boys were trained to fight before they could even fully comprehend the meaning of war. Madara's childhood was steeped in loss and fear. Brothers died before his eyes. Friends became enemies. Alliances shattered as quickly as they were formed. And in this environment, Madara did not develop optimism. He developed clarity. He saw the repeated patterns of human behavior: betrayal, pride, and the constant desire for power. Unlike others, he did not allow hope to blind him. While Hashirama Senju, his childhood friend, dreamt of a world where enemies could become allies, Madara observed that people rarely changed. His clarity set him apart, isolating him from those around him. He realized that while ideals were beautiful, they were fragile. People could speak of peace and unity, but their actions always followed the path of self-interest, fear, and ego. He watched countless wars end temporarily, only to reignite. Clans rise and fall, and leaders compromise values for survival. Through these repeated cycles, Madara concluded that lasting peace was impossible without intervention. This understanding shaped his worldview. Madara did not see humanity as inherently evil. He saw it as inconsistent and unreliable. Trust, in his mind, was fragile. Alliances, temporary. Peace, an illusion. When the Hidden Leaf Village was formed, supposedly a new dawn of cooperation, he saw not harmony, but subtle imbalance. Power shifted toward the Senju clan, while the Uchiha were marginalized. Madara interpreted these shifts as the predictable outcome of human nature. Even with structured systems, people would eventually act on greed, fear, and ambition. His observations hardened into a belief. If humanity could not achieve peace on its own, then someone had to enforce it. Madara's philosophy was not born from a desire for domination or personal ego. It was born from repeated trauma and observation. Every time he trusted someone, betrayal followed. Every time he believed in the possibility of unity, conflict returned. By the time he reached adulthood, Madara no longer saw negotiation, diplomacy, or persuasion as sufficient tools. He believed that only decisive action, removing the freedom to make destructive choices, could bring true peace. The infinite Tsukuyomi, the plan he would later enact, was not the act of a power-hungry tyrant, but the culmination of decades of observation and psychological reasoning. To him, trapping humanity in a dream world where suffering was eliminated was the only way to prevent the chaos that arose from human choices. But this solution came at a terrifying cost. Madara understood that order required control, and control required authority. He did not enjoy wielding power over others, but he saw it as a necessary burden. His vision of peace demanded that humanity's flaws be restrained, not for his benefit, but for theirs. In this light, Madara becomes less of a villain and more of a tragic philosopher. He was a man who saw the patterns others refused to acknowledge and who reached conclusions that the world was unwilling to accept. His actions were extreme, but his reasoning followed a clear psychological path. Repeated trauma, isolation, and the constant observation of human imperfection shaped a man who believed he alone could do what was necessary. Madara's relationships further reinforced his worldview. His childhood friendship with Hashirama offered a glimpse of hope, but the pressures of family, clan expectations, and political realities destroyed it. Even the bond he valued most could not survive the rigid structures of the world he lived in. By the time he became a leader, Madara no longer sought approval or understanding from others. He acted according to principles born from observation, experience, and the certainty that most humans would inevitably fail to achieve lasting peace. This combination of intelligence, trauma, and isolation produced a man whose vision transcended conventional morality. To understand Madara fully, one must consider both his philosophy and his psychology. Philosophically, he represents the tension between freedom and order, idealism and realism, hope and necessity. Psychologically, he embodies the impact of repeated trauma, isolation, and the awareness of systemic human failure. He sees the world as it truly is, stripped of comforting illusions, and makes decisions based on that clarity. Every action, every strategy, every battle is a reflection of a mind trained to anticipate betrayal, weakness, and the limits of human nature. In the end, Madara's story challenges us to ask difficult questions. Is he truly evil, or is he merely honest about the flaws of humanity? Could the world survive without constraints, or does freedom inevitably lead to chaos? Is the cost of eternal peace worth sacrificing free will? His life and actions force us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, responsibility, and the consequences of seeing the world clearly while others choose to remain blind. Madara Uchiha was not merely a villain. He was a visionary trapped in a reality unwilling to match his understanding. He was a philosopher, forged in war, whose isolation and clarity gave him the courage to act decisively when others would hesitate. And whether history condemns him or not, his legacy remains a cautionary tale of what happens when trauma, insight, and a desire for order collide. A man who sought peace through control because he could see the flaws everyone else refused to admit.